What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people, and I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now, and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? How y'all feel today? Y'all feeling good? So, yes, I am in Springfield, Massachusetts, which is a hop, skip, and a jump away from Hartford, Connecticut. When I was flying into the airport today, I was thinking to myself, what's around here? And then I realized, oh yeah, Yukon is around here. I'm in downtown Springfield. So yeah, man, I'm feeling good. Life is good. I can't complain whatsoever. The Tiege got my skin glowing. So shout out to Tiege Hanley. What up? How y'all feel? What's the word? ESPN is out here? Anybody know anything about this place? Let me tell you how I pick and choose the places that I travel to. And this is like historic. This is how I've always done it. So the way that I pick the places that I travel to is largely based off of kind of like throwing a dart at a map. You take a big old map of the United States of America, or you print something out and you spin it around, or you just get your iPad, you spin it around a bunch of times, you kind of don't look, and then you just put your finger on it, and then you look up and then you say, oh, okay, I'll go to this area. And so you kind of just start to look at or look up different places in different areas, and then you go from there. And so that's how I pick and choose the places that I visit and what I go to. So I ended up here in Springfield, Massachusetts. I want to also try to get to more places that I've never been to before. And so that's what's happening. That's how I got out here. You said Boston. How far is Boston? I don't think Boston is close to Springfield. I don't think y'all realize how big some of these states are. But I haven't, again, looked at it. I haven't researched it. I don't know anything about it. The best way to travel for me personally is to just figure out somewhere to go and just go. Just do it. Don't think about it. That's the way I live my life. That's the way I live my life when I deal with people. That's the way I live my life when it comes to some of the businesses that I've opened up, all of that stuff. So I'm kind of like, flying by the seat of your pants, rocking out. But I'll tell you something else that I realized about myself is that I don't believe that I've been as productive as I should have been so far. I've left a lot on the table, and that's the guy's honest truth. I've left a lot on the table when it comes to my productivity. I've left a lot on the table when it comes to my success. I've left a lot on the table when it comes to being intentional. And this is just me holding myself accountable. And I know that some people will look at it and they will say, well, Anton, how do you figure that you've been, you know what I'm saying, leaving a lot on the table and all of that, but how productive you are? Because I understand myself and I take personal responsibility and accountability for who I am. So I don't always evaluate or judge myself based off of what I see other people doing. That's how I can evaluate how far I am from where I want to be. But when it comes to knowing yourself, you know whether or not you've been really taking care of business. You know whether or not you've been as productive as you could be. You know whether or not you've took a nap when you could have did an extra this, or you could have did an extra that, or you could put a little bit more time into this and a little bit more time into that. And so I think that it's almost like I feel like a startup founder again. I feel like I'm starting a new business. I feel like I'm starting a new journey, because this is the thing that I used to do when I used to get my most creative space. I would take a trip maybe once a month, go to some place that I've never been to, or go to somewhere familiar, but I would just be by myself. You got to learn how to be by yourself. A lot of people don't realize, oh, snaps, the Basketball Hall of Fame is downtown here. All right, I got to go to that. You got to realize that if you can't learn to be productive alone, if you can't learn how to be happy alone, um, if you can't learn how to really center yourself and find God and learn how to talk to God by yourself, then I don't think that you'll ever truly be as successful as you think you can be. You got to find yourself. You got to spend some time with yourself. You got to go into that solitude. You don't always need somebody to be happy. And so, I'm incredibly excited. I was talking to my daughter yesterday, and she was like, "Dad, what made you just decide to up and go to this place or up and go to that place?" And I said, "Leslie, you so young that you don't even remember or realize that I've been doing this since before COVID. COVID messed a lot of stuff up. COVID in some ways really helped us, and it hurt us in a lot of ways, because COVID threw us out of our regular routines. But then at the same time, when you look back at it, it made me appreciate the things that I did to get here in the first place. So, man, when I was really, really grinding, and it doesn't mean that I'm not working as hard or harder than I was before, but when I really had the mentality of creativity and startup and all of that stuff, it was up. It was up. It was up. Somebody said, "Dang, Negro, your spot looking nice." Well, I get a suite. So I'm staying at, I don't care. I'm staying at MGM Springfield, the hotel. And so I got a whole suite. People that didn't seen the blog, you can see it. So that's the TV. Bedroom is back there. I'm not telling you what floor, what room I'm in, but yeah, I got a whole suite. I'm looking outside of the window right now. It's another bathroom right there. It's a bedroom, a whole bathroom over there. So I got to have separate spaces. I need a space to be able to work. I need a space to be able to sleep. I need a space to be able to do whatever it is that I want to do. So shout out to everybody. I've never been here before, but this is life. I like it because they got like black walls. I don't know if this is like green or black. I like the leather couch. I like the vibe. I like hotels that got a lot of character. This hotel has a lot of character. Even like the light and the chandeliers and stuff like that. All of the crown molding that goes around this place. I gain a lot of my inspiration. Let me tell y'all, dog, trips are beautiful. Y'all got to start going places not just for the hoes, not just to go to party, not just to go to the same places over and over again. I get a lot of my inspiration for the things that I build inside of my houses. I get a lot of inspiration for the things that I'm gonna build in the future. I got notes and pictures and stuff inside of my Apple Notes of the different things that I want to implement, that I want to do, and stuff like that. So, man, like, you can't be inspired if you don't know what to look for. If you can't see things that's outside of your comfort zone. So y'all got to get outside, man. Y'all literally, seriously, you really need to get outside and explore and see stuff, and it's going to change your life. It'll 100% change your life. All right, y'all ready to get started with the show? So, housekeeping, we got a Patreon live stream tonight. Yep, I'm going to be doing it from here. Patreon live stream tonight is going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern. All right. The Patreon live stream tonight is at 8 p.m. Eastern. Do not miss it. If you just so happen to have to miss it because you got other things that you got to take care of and that you got to do, then just restream it. I'll upload it for y'all to be able to restream, and then we can go from there. All right. I owe some people some cash apps. Let me make sure I take care of that before I do anything. Let me deposit some money into the Cash App account. Let me send y'all some Cash Apps. I know. Oh, a couple people cash apps. I know your car sent me their accounts. So before I get into the show, we got a lot to cover today. We got to cover the Black woman bronze statue in New York. I wanted to cover the story about the Clark, Atlanta woman that got killed, the Tyre Nichols. Police officers, they were all acquitted. So we're gonna get into that. We got some real controversial topics that we're gonna talk about on today, and after hours tonight. We got to get into the Trump trade deal, the historic trade deal with the United Kingdom. Piers Morgan, a woman was willing to use the N-word on Piers Morgan, so that was interesting. So we got a lot that we got to cover today, and I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. So let me just go ahead and get this taken care of. Oh, the host of your funeral, hell of a name, and they picked a hell of a picture too. I'm gonna have to go to the Basketball Hall of Fame and see what's happening. I think I know everything about basketball. All right, so let me find these people that I need to send these cash apps from yesterday, and then we're gonna deep dive into it. Shout out to your car. All right, Uno Didi. We gotta send you first. 100, because you guessed where I was gonna be the state. Uno Didi. Denzel, is that you, Denzel? Denzel? All right, so Uno Didi. I just sent you 100. So shout out to you, Uno Didi. And let's go with who else? Oh, I got you. Kiwan. K Lynette. All right, let me send you your money. 100 pay K Lynette. I think that's right. Hard one. I think you got it. All right, so let me see. All right. So let's see it. Just got you. Just sent it to you too. All right. So there y'all go. Just paid y'all. Shout out to y'all, Uno DD1 and K1. And yeah, man. Yeah. All right, so there y'all go. Money for y'all. Make sure that y'all here every day on time, and then you never know. We're gonna do it probably at least twice a week where I give away $100. Where I give away at least $100 if y'all able to guess a state and a location. All right, y'all. Y'all ready to get started with the show? We not paying attention to Quentin. Let me tell you, Quentin sent me a Cash App request for $500 for food. That ain't even the right Quentin. Oh, you tried to finesse me. Oh, why did dog? I thought that this was the Quentin, the regular Quentin. I can't believe it. You tried to finesse me. And I'm looking at it and I open up my Cash App today and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not Q Diddy. That's not Q Diddy. Look at this. You see that? The $500 for food right there. They tried to finesse me because I looked at the profile picture. I said, that's not Q Diddy. You tried to finesse me. Oh, and then I opened it up and I said, wait a minute. That's not the right Quentin. So now we got to block you. They tried to finesse you. They tried to play with your name, Quentin. I can't believe it. That was a good one. I'm not gonna cap. That was a very good one. But see, all right, that's unfortunate because now I got to be a little bit more vigilant. That's messed up, bro. Because I'm a very nice person, bro. I'm a very nice person, and you just tried to finesse me out of $500. That's so messed up. First of all, let me because they ain't had a right Quinn. I know Quinn's profile picture, and I just double check right before because I could have just hit pay and it was gonna send it to you. First of all, let me give a shout out to Siobhan. Thank you, Siobhan, for supporting me on Cash App. Shout out to Q Diddy. Alonzo says, "My bad for the unwanted attention." What you mean? What you mean for the unwanted attention? Shout out to Myron says American exoskeleton is strong. I appreciate you. Cartier Oliver says I sent you an email about a lawsuit for Byron Scott. Yeah, I heard about the Byron Scott lawsuit. I'm gonna dig into that. I also want to give a shout out to Trini Life. I said Mike that dude. Thank you, Mike that dude. Thank you, Trini Life. Trini Life says God bless you in your travels. Thank you. I appreciate you. All right. People always trying to finesse me. Let me read some of these super chats and then we're gonna go ahead and because you know how Quentin be joking a lot, Quentin be trolling and stuff like that. So I'm like, man, let me send Quentin this fact. Man, get out of here with that. Tony Red says, Anton, have you heard about the Tyler Butler chase? I guess you meant to say case. I don't think so. If you know something about it, send it to me and then I'll check it out. Pierre says currently in Sweden, so I'm adjusting to watching you in the afternoons. Marcus has been pumping on the Trump news deal. Yeah, we gonna get that money. Shout out to everybody getting that bag. Chris Cunningham says, shout out to the Knicks. Yeah, the Knicks is hitting. The Knicks is hitting. Chadford Moore says, how many ladies you hitting there? Buzz down tour. We don't kiss and tell. We don't kiss and tell, okay? J Dub says, New York crashing out, building a statue of Letitia James. Hotel Wi-Fi seems great, says 392Q. It's slow. It's consistent, though. It's just a little slow. Without question says, did you ever get to order that one chair you fell in love with down in Mexico? I didn't, because I don't have anywhere to put it. So I could order it, but then I would just be ordering it just for the sake of ordering it. All right, y'all. What's up to my girl Mika, K Cooper, everybody in the chat? What up, though? What up, y'all? How y'all feel? All right. Y'all ready to get started with the show? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. After hours tonight, you can come and see Mika's clavicles, Mika's, Molly's. You can come see Carrie's clavicles. I may even have a bonus clavicle on there for you guys. Come see Quentin, myself, and Slimmy. You never know what Slimmy is going to say. He says wild things all the time. And we're going to go ahead and get it popping. All right, listen, let me just say this also before we get started with the show. I'm very thankful. I'm appreciative. And I really, really do thank you guys for holding me down. Thank you for participating. Thank you for holding me down. Thank you for being consistent. And thank you for being a part of my friend group. You guys are a part of my friend group. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. All right, so we got to go ahead and get into the show. First thing that I want to talk about before we get into all of the things that are more important, like Tyre Nichols and Trump trade deals and everything, right? We got a lot to cover. The first thing that I want to talk about is something that I was one of the first people to report on yesterday. Yes, I was. I was one of the first people to report on yesterday. And I couldn't believe it when I seen it. I could not believe it when I seen it. It blew my mind, and it wasn't in a good way. As you can see right here at the bottom of the screen, this is half of it. Oh, we got to get to the funny stuff before we get to the real stuff. But this is real. Like, people are actually spending money to erect this stuff because it more or less or supposed to reflect what it is that you guys look like. I can't believe it. I said, no way. Not my queens. You said, where and why is that, Keisha? Times Square. Times Square. It's in Times Square, Keisha. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I said, no way did y'all do my queens dirty like this. But this is what has been erected. a 12-foot bronze black woman statue in the middle of Times Square. This is what they giving y'all.
A new statue in Times Square we're told, turning heads. It's making people not only stop and stare, but also reflect. A rare feat in the middle of one of the busiest places in the world. Zinnia Maldonado shows us why.
At 12 feet tall, in the middle of Times Square, stands a bronze sculpture of a young woman.
It's instantly stood out. It's powerful.
It's so tall and big.
The sculpture, created by artist Thomas Price, was unveiled at Duffy Square last week, and in just a matter...
Oh, God. I can't even get to 30 seconds of this video before I just start going a little bit nuts over here. Y'all pray for me. Did we pray today? Lord, bless us with... Bless us to be focused. Bless us to be serious. Bless us to have serious conversations. I know that there's been people in the chat that say, Anton, you're not serious enough. You're always cracking jokes. Bless us to be serious. Bless us to be focused. Bless us to be on top of things. In Jesus' name, amen. Y'all ready to get started? Let's be serious, y'all.
Matter of days, it has stopped hundreds in their tracks. Who is she? Well, technically, she's whoever you want her to be.
Me being a plus-size black woman, I kind of looking at it was just like, oh, I wonder what me as a small child would have thought looking at something like that.
Yo, to all my black women, because I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I think they did y'all dirty. They did y'all dirty. I think that they did y'all dirty. Honestly, to all of my black women out here that says that, man, I wonder if I was growing up as a little girl and I was able to see a 12-foot bronze statue of this woman in Times Square, would I have thought differently about myself? Would I have been more confident? Would I have been seeing DEI and representation a little bit better? I want to know how y'all feel. Black ladies, all of my queens, inside of the chat, y'all let me know what y'all think of this
Representation.
The piece is part of a series called Grounded in the Stars, which Gene Cooney, director of Times Square Art, says confronts preconceived...
Look at the side profile of this statue, y'all. Just hold on, just check. Let's take a minute for a second and appreciate the side profile of this statue. Hands on the hips. Clearly, this statue is presenting. I'm just going to say presenting. This statue, what do black women say? This statue is giving, all right? Clearly, the statue is giving 5'8", 247, Foreman Mills, all meat and protein, no vegetables, red meat, a lot of sugar, and going to the African braiding people to get your hair done. That's what it's given. This statue is given 7 black women at brunch. Nobody leaves a tip. This is given walk out on the bill right here, honestly. And I'm not saying that this is what all black women do, but I'm saying that this side profile to me says I just came from church and I don't have a lot of money, but I'm gonna still go out to eat anyway. He said it's giving poor glory girl. He thought it was Letitia James. This ain't even a good reflection of y'all. Listen, I know for a fact that black women are way better shaped than this. They got more curves than this. And this is not even like, it looked like pajama jeans. Somebody said blood sugar of 100,000. This is a hater statue. This is a hater statue, honestly. They did do y'all dirty. If I was a black man and they put a black man statue up there and it was a statue of Kodak Black or something like that, I would be offended. I would 100% be offended. This is a mean statue, K. Cooper, 100%. Look at the, and they gonna show the part where she looking at the Reese's Pieces. Have y'all noticed that? Did y'all notice that she's looking at Reese's Pieces? They just so happen to show that in this part of the show. I really think that they discriminating. I really think that they discriminating 100%. They did y'all dirty. Facts.
Notions of identity and representation.
To have this work here is making a statement, potentially asking questions about what we value as a city, as a society.
And this is what y'all get. Hold on. I'm going to play the whole video in its entirety, but this is what y'all get for letting white women. And shout out to my snow bunnies because I love white women. But this is what y'all get for following liberal white women and letting them paint pictures and erect statues of what y'all supposed to look like inside of Times Square. Not the whole world. Because Times Square is still a visitor's haven. Like people all over the world, it don't matter what part of the world you are, when they fly in, most of the time they come to New York City. New York is one of the most visited places inside of the United States of America. And now when they come in and they say, you know what? I ain't never seen a black woman before, but what would a black woman look like? They're going to see a 12-foot bronze statue of somebody that said diversity, equity, and inclusion is necessary and erected y'all visualization inside of Times Square right there next to the Reese's Pieces advertisement. That's what y'all get. That's exactly what y'all get for being overly liberal. Good job. The director of the Times Square Arts, Gene Cooney, just gave you some visualization of whatever it is that you guys want it to be. I'm gonna play it from the beginning. I want y'all to see the full thing. And shout outs because I know some very nice, fit, well put together, not putting their hands on their hips. I know some women that are black that's not like that.
In the middle of one of the busiest places in the world. Cynthia Maldonado shows us why.
At 12 feet tall, in the middle of Times Square, stands a bronze sculpture of a young woman.
It's instantly stood out. It's powerful.
It's so tall and big.
The sculpture, created by artist Thomas Price.
Hold on, I missed that part. Did you hear what the white girl said? First, y'all got a zesty man up here telling y'all what y'all need to believe. Because you know that gay black men, they love to speak for black women. Gay black men is a black woman spokesperson. I'm going to just be 100% real with you. Gay black men are a black woman's spokesperson. Y'all feel like they represent everything that y'all want to be. Big, feminine, and talking with a whole lot of S's and T's. Look at what the white woman about to say when they ask her what she thought about it.
It's powerful.
It's so tall and big.
It's so tall and big. Is that what y'all want to be known for? Being tall and big?
The sculpture, created by artist Thomas Price, was unveiled at Duffy Square last week, and in just a matter of days, it has stopped hundreds in their tracks. Who is she? Well, technically, she's whoever you want her to be.
Me being a plus-size black woman, I kind of looking at it was just like, oh, I wonder what me as a small child would have thought looking at something like that. Representation.
The piece is part of a series called Grounded in the Stars, which Gene Cooney, director of Times Square Arts, says confronts preconceived notions of identity and representation.
To have this work here is making a statement, potentially asking questions about what we value as a city, as a society, and hopefully it's a tribute to our shared humanity.
Tourists and New Yorkers we spoke with expressed different interpretations of what she represents to them.
It's a plus-size woman. I'm a plus-size man. I'm African-American. It's the African-American woman statue. So just seeing another piece for me to stop and just have a moment with was very...
That's y'all representation. Your spokesperson is speaking to y'all right now.
Very powerful.
If you look at the eyes, it's looking straight at something. It's focused. It's purposeful.
The sculpture proves to be a well-liked juxtaposition placed among the more traditional statues in Times Square, which is...
Look at those powerful statues. You see the powerful... Look at the black woman statue, and she got on bell bottoms.
A well-liked juxtaposition placed among the more...
Look how powerful that statue is. Got the pea coat on, got the Burberry pea coat on, got their boots on, very stout, standing up, staring straight at what it is that they want to go and conquer. You see that?
Traditional statues in Times Square.
Look at that. You see how, look at that. He got the cane, pimp hand strong, lived a good life. And this is what y'all got.
Which is the goal, according to officials.
And there's your statue. There's your statue. This is what you got to look forward to when you get older.
Of placing said artwork in such a significant area.
Coming from a person of color background as well, it's really nice to see something come across as like this everyday person that looks a little bit out of
Steve Madden's on.
place, but I also think that's because of where we are standing. It might not
Did you hear what she said? It looks out of place. Listen to what she's saying.
be a person of color background as well. It's really nice to see something come across as like this everyday person that looks a little bit out of place.
They trying to appease y'all. They want to make y'all feel good about yourselves while they feed you another waffle. Here's another blueberry pancake. Here's another piece of red meat. Here's some more diabetes for you. I will be absolutely disgusted. I will, if I'm a black woman, which there's another black woman that was speaking on y'all behalf. Let me show you what he looked like. There's your black woman. If I was a black woman, then I would absolutely be disgusted and I would be aggravated at this statue right here. I don't think that this represents y'all. I'm not going to let y'all go down like that. I'm not going to let them tell you that this is what you look like, because this is not what you look like. This is not your future. Your future is not to be Letitia James. Because honestly, this is a slap. This is a slap in the back of y'all. This is a backhanded compliment. This is one of those things where they say something about you or they erect what you. You ever seen one of those things where the people draw each other? Y'all ever seen one of those things where people draw each other and they say, I did the best that I can, and they be real toe up and ugly? This is what they think about y'all. Messed up. Honest to God, messed up. So that's how we going to start off the show today, with a reality check of what people really think about y'all. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. They did y'all dirty. They did y'all dirty. Vaughn says $500. AD, I just sent you a request for 10K. For 10K. Just Christian says, I thought it was a Letitia James statue at first. I did too. Eric Wealth Harris says they could have at least gave the statue of BBL on the iPhone. Facts. Blackhawk72 says, passport bro paying for box. Why? She's fit, natural, feminine, and friendly, and she can cook and clean and treat you like a king. Flowers, $12. Dinner in the movie is $46. She greatly appreciate it all. It's priceless. I'm going to be honest with y'all, bro. Listen, I hear what y'all saying. I hear you. And I don't think that anybody is wrong for having preferences and choosing to do what they want to do. But I'm going to be absolutely honest. So we're going to have this conversation about passport bros tonight, because it's a video that I reviewed that I feel as though they genuinely need to make sure that they look at it and see what y'all. Carrie texting me this picture, this art. Honestly, I think that everybody has preferences and people can do whatever it is that they want to do. But I'm going to be real with you. I can't get, I try to understand it. I see what y'all saying. I just can't get with it, bro. I can't get with it, bro. Honestly, I feel y'all. I know that y'all willing to go over there and spend some money on some women that are a little less fortunate and don't know what the power of a dollar is, and they ain't never seen no success before in their life. I feel y'all that y'all dealing with women that go home to roaches and mud huts and whatever, whatever it is that y'all like, I'm with it. I'm with it 100%. I just can't get with it, bro. I don't understand it. I've tried, I've listened, and I just don't. I can't get with it, bro. You're right. Everything ain't for everybody, flat out. I agree. I think that everybody could do what they want to do, and I think that everybody could have whatever their preferences is. I got you, Carrie. We're gonna talk about it on After Hours tonight. But I can't, bro. I can't. I know that y'all willing to fly all over the water to go into these places and get the box. I just can't. I'm not gonna criticize for you for it, but I'm not doing it. I respect your preferences, but I don't understand the passport bro movement. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna be absolutely honest with y'all. And I stand on this 100%. I'm very critical of Black women because I want y'all to do better. But I'm gonna be absolutely honest and transparent. You may catch me doing a lot of things in my life. I got a lot of life to live. You may catch me doing a lot of things. I might be cursing. I might be blowing some money, doing something I ain't supposed to, whatever it is. But the one thing that you will never see me do, and this is my preference, I have a preference for Black women in the United States of America. If I was to divorce today and I was single and I was on the market, I would only date and I would marry, if I was to ever get married again, I would marry a Black woman. That's my preference. I don't hate on nobody. I always tell everybody else they can date and go where you appreciate it, not where you tolerate it. But I'm going to just be honest with you. I have a preference for, and I am always going to always be seen as far as a relationship is concerned. I'm always going to be seen with a Black woman. I need her. I want her. I got to have her. I surround myself with them, and I'm hard on them because I want them to do better. But that's my preference. Now, I don't criticize everybody else for their preferences. I think that you should date whatever it is that appreciates you. If you want to date a white woman, you want to date an Asian woman, I'm 100% for it. But you will never, ever, ever, ever see me laying in bed, having a conversation with, or kicking it with anything outside of an American Black woman. That's just me. Real talk. That's my preference. I love them. I genuinely love them. I love them. You say Black woman is cooked. I say I think that they can do better. I think that they can do better. I think that they can do better. That's my preference. Again, I don't criticize anybody else, and I love everybody. But as far as me, as far as being in a relationship with, I couldn't imagine me laying up next to anything except that. That's all. That's the only thing I'd have never rocked out with. So that's why I'm rolling. No, I've never had bunny fever. Never had bunny fever in my life. So shout out to everybody that got a preference. I think they can do what they want to do. The statue raising some YNs. I thought it was Letitia James. Is a little trail. Chris Cunningham says this is an insult to Black women. Is basically saying it's okay to be plus size. It's okay to have an attitude. Knowing how heart disease and diabetes runs through the community, the jokes is on y'all. I agree. Enforcer 2K9 says, so they gave Black women a whole statue and they still going to keep complaining about white supremacists and holding them back. And everybody hates us. White liberals using Black women against his counselor at large. Facts. Dean Murray says statue looks like it's ready to blame a Black man for something. At the bottom it reads independent and most educated. Red Cup with Mika. Red Cup Talks with Mika says, good morning, a high calorie individual, part of the 92% facts. She Stupper says statue is giving Jerome Bettis. Facts. High Tolerance says, good morning, AD in the Bag Chasers has been too much like right to have a bust of an actual Black family. Tell us what you think without telling us what you think. Terrence Jones says, why is it always liberal white women doing this? You know, they're the only ones that get them type of degrees anyway. Casual Germ says foreign visitors will see that statue and yell, that's a huge B. Bilderberg Boy says that's a statue of Letitia James at Freaknik in 94. Arturo React says, please look at the Black woman's last name, obesity. Oh my God. Nasheed Water says Black dude had Auntie Irma glasses on. Christopher Mayberry says they didn't even get an American to sculpt it. The sculptor is from London. Well, you know they got Black people from London too. Brothers Keeper says that's Janet Jackson from Friday. Chill Rodney says the statue name is spelled OBCD, shaking my head, good Lord. Statue is sponsored by McDonald's and TV dinner, says Aaron L. Eric Walt Harris says the statue ordering 2 quarter pounders, 2 apple pies, and a large fry and a Diet Dr. Pepper. The Diet Dr. Pepper is no calorie, though. High Tolerance says Waffle House vibe. Keisha's ready to stampede in the crowd and them non-skid sketchers at any given moment. She that big kahuna burger at the Hawaiian joint. Dre with the case says they created a statue of Big Back Brianna. Anton Shalom, she is really, really big, says Whiskey Pierre. Falafel Bay says that's a statue of a single mother. Jesus Christ. Briggs says, what's the point of this? They need to take that down, bro. They'll give you everything but a job. Latrell says this is worse than D-Wade statue. Shan says, good morning, Anton. New bag chaser. Shout out to the new bag chasers. This is discrimination at its finest. Sad. I'm 5'5", 145. I bet you look good too. They could have depicted us better. She looks African. Flags. Wesley Turner says nobody looks to the everyday person for inspiration to achieve the highest goal. Make me look like me, Alexander the Great, not little doughboy. Unbiasedly Raw says cage-free Fannie Willis in Times Square is crazy work. Latrell says this is worse than D-Wade statue. Counselor at large says publicly glorifying tricking is wild work, supposed to keep that on the low. Facts. Now that's 100% fact. If you're going to trick, you can't be publicly tricking. You can't be publicly tricking. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. All right, y'all. So I think I'm going to start with this Tyre Nichols conversation. So this was a minute because I remember this case, and the case was largely around a guy that the police officers had to basically go and kind of chase. When they got him out the car, they tried to get him on the ground. When they eventually got him on the ground, they was kind of yelling and cussing and saying, man, put your hands behind your back. So he was resisting a little bit. He was resisting. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. And then eventually he got free and he ran, and they tried to tase him and they couldn't tase him. And then eventually they got to him. And if I remember correctly, because I'm going to replay the video just to refresh our memories. If I remember correctly, eventually they beat the crap out of him and he wound up passing away. So this was completely different than George Floyd. But, and I'm going to read that super chat shortly. This was completely different than George Floyd. But the officers, all of them, were black. That was an interesting part of it. They were black. So you can't say that it was a white man, and black people were unable to create a big deal about it because it wasn't race related. But they were police officers. So let me jog y'all memory really quickly because I want to make sure that we all in the same space. And I'm going to bring y'all up to speed on what happened. And I'm going to replay this video from like 2 years ago. It was from like 2 years ago. All right. So let me switch over because I want to make sure that we on premium. And then we're going to go ahead and play all the video because I'm going to refresh your memory and then I'm going to bring y'all up to speed on what happened with the trial. All right. This is what happened.
Damn, I didn't do anything. Hey, I didn't hurt you. Ass around. All right. On the ground. You don't do that, okay? Get on the fucking ground. Get on the ground. Okay. Raise your ass. All right, I'm on the ground. Turn around. Yes, sir. Please take on the ground. I can tase you. Get on the ground. One. Okay, now, all right, okay, all right. Break your shit. Okay, dude, damn. Turn the fuck around. Put your fucking hands behind. Bitch, put your hands behind your back. Okay, come on. I'm gonna knock your ass the fuck out. You guys are really doing a lot right now. Bro, lay down.
Why do people resist arrest? That's what I'm trying to understand. Because I don't know, from Detroit, this type of language is not that abnormal to us, the way that we grew up. So this is not something new. I'm not a part of this new generation that is used to police officers talking to you all nice and they just gonna let you go if you start running because they don't want to injure nobody else. I'm from the era where they talk about gang squad. It was gang squad back then and they handled you a little bit differently. But I'm trying to understand, why do people even resist arrest? Why do they sit there and negotiate? Oh no, stop, you're doing too much. Why do people do that? Why don't people just go ahead and get their cuffs on and keep it moving?
Go home. Man, if you don't lay down, I am on the ground. On your stomach. I am. Okay. Stop. I'm not doing it.
I don't know how he got out of that.
Shit.
All right, that's making me dizzy. So somehow, some way, he was able to get out of all of those guys. And then eventually they got up to him. They got in the car and they caught up to him. My man was tired, wasn't he?
Where's your water?
They coughing?
Can't see shit. Okay, I got you.
So anyways, eventually they catch up to him. The other video was a lot more graphic, so I don't want to play that one. I didn't play it 2 years ago. I'm not going to play it on this one. All of those cops is terrible, out of breath, everything. I see some people in the chat saying there was 2 police officers that actually pleaded guilty. 2 police officers actually pleaded guilty, so I'm assuming that they took the L for a lot of them. But anyways, I was informed this morning that cops actually, let me find this other clip for you guys, that the cops actually, the rest of the cops actually took it to trial and they pled not guilty, and then eventually they were acquitted. So let me find that other clip for you guys. Get this off of this. All right, so I'm gonna play this other clip for you guys, and then you guys can let me know what you think about it. And let me also say this before I play this other clip. Why do you guys try to hold me accountable for the jury of their peers finding them not guilty? What do I got to do with the fact that the jury found them not guilty? If I remember correctly, because again, this was over 2 years ago, I actually said that I didn't think that this was right and this was unjustified, but I wanted to see the same energy from Black people towards Black cops that were then on trial for the killing death of Tyre Nichols, and I wanted to see what the case is. So now 2 years later, they actually all found him not guilty. And again, this is a jury of their peers. These are people that 12. They were found not guilty by a jury of 12. And so now people want to get mad at me because I'm just reporting the news. I wasn't on the jury. I don't have nothing to do with it. I didn't even follow the case. I didn't know whether or not he was going to be acquitted or not acquitted. I forgot all about it. I had to go and rewatch the video to even remember what we were talking about in the first place. Y'all are so emotional. Y'all are so emotional. So emotional. So this is what happened in the trial.
At 4:30 here, 3 former Memphis police officers acquitted on state charges in the fatal 2023 beating of Sacramento native Tyre Nichols. Thanks so much for joining us here for the CBS 13 News at 4:30. I'm Hunter Sowards. Your reporter, Ashley Sharp, she's been tracking this one for us from the start. She's joining us now in the studio with the verdict. And Ashley, what has been a high-profile case here?
It has all eyes really on this, Hunter. A jury took about 8.5 hours over 2 days to find Darius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith not guilty on all charges after a 9-day trial in state court in Memphis, Tennessee.
Count 1, second-degree murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darius Bean, not guilty. Count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant, Demetrius Haley, not guilty. Count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant, Justice Smith, not guilty.
Now, each of those defendants was charged with 7 different counts. And we know that those former Memphis police officers, like we said, have been acquitted. What those charges were originally was second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, official misconduct, and official oppression. The jury was made up of 8 women and 4 men. Now, you'll remember this national story after a traffic stop back in January 2023. 5 Memphis police officers were captured on video punching, kicking, and hitting Nichols, a Sacramento native living in Tennessee at the time, as he called out for his mother. Nichols died 3 days after the beating. Prosecutors had argued the officers used excessive deadly force in trying to handcuff Nichols and were criminally responsible for each other's actions. They also said the officers had a duty to intervene and stop the beating. Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy had this reaction to the not guilty verdict.
Hard for us to imagine how someone could say that none of the defendants were guilty of any of the charges. What I do know is this: Tyre Nichols is dead, and deserves to be alive. And that is a tragedy.
Former Memphis officer Desmond Mills Jr. testified as a prosecution witness. Mills and another officer involved in that beating, Emmett Martin, have agreed to plead guilty to the state charges and are not standing trial under deals made with prosecutors. Now, the three defendants acquitted today on those state charges still do face the prospect of years in prison after they were convicted on federal charges last year. Sentencing for all five of the former officers on the federal conviction is.
So basically, you know, they went to trial amongst the jury of their peers. The jury deliberated over 8 hours for 2 days. The jury found the guys not guilty based off of what I seen on the body cam. I'm not really sure that I could say that they were not guilty on all of the charges personally. That's my personal opinion. Now, I can't sit there and convict them in the court of public opinion if a jury of their peers, because either you have to blame the state prosecutors or the city's prosecutors to say that, well, they just didn't do an effective enough job to convince the jury or to present the information to show that he was actually guilty. Or you have to say that maybe they weren't guilty as far as the police officers. Maybe this police officer wasn't doing as bad of a job, or he was just over here, or maybe they tried to convict him because he didn't intervene. You need to deep dive into those details itself. If the jury found him not guilty, then I'm going to say that they're not guilty, and I'm going to still stand on that. But based off of what I've seen from the body cam, maybe the other two police officers that pleaded guilty were the ones that inflicted the damage that ultimately caused him to die. But the fact of the matter is, for me, I just don't like the fact that you got another guy that could have still been here and his life was taken. And it's unfortunate. It was absolutely unfortunate. It was unfortunate. And I don't want to see him dead. I don't want to see him gone. If imagining putting myself in the seat of one of those jurors, I probably would have had a completely different verdict, but I wasn't on the jury. I'm not in Memphis, or I think that was Memphis, right? I'm not there. I wasn't on there. And so I wasn't able to have a say. All I can do is have a say on what it is that I see on this show. And on this show, based off of what I seen earlier today when I rewatched the video, and based off of what I remember myself saying from 2 years ago, it looked like he was done dirty. It looked like he was done dirty. Yes, he should not have resisted arrest. That does not mean that you're supposed to die. At no point did it seem like he was ever a threat. And if he would have had a gun, that was a completely different conversation. If he would have pulled out a knife, that was a completely different conversation. But resisting arrest and their inability to subdue him, in my opinion, does not justify him dying. It does not justify them beating the crap out of him the way that they beat the crap out of him. So I don't agree with the verdict. And I don't think it's going to be that much outpouring or outcrying, because people are going to say that they're black cops and that they're not white cops. If they were white cops, then people would have been rioting right now. If there were white cops, people would have been rioting right now. But again, I think that everything that it comes to race starts to make it a powder keg, and it makes it a lot more explosive. And the fact that they were white, that they were black cops, it kind of took the breath out of black people from really being able to advocate for Tyre Nichols, because I don't think that black people really stand up for anything unless it's race related. So that's my thoughts on it. I'm curious as to what you guys think. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Y'all saying that he was smashing one of their baby mamas. Yeah, I remember somebody saying that too. I don't know if that was ever substantiated though. I think that was just a rumor. I never was able to track down any kind of validation as to whether or not that was true or not. So that's where I stand on that whole situation. Let me read some of the super chats, and then we're going to go over to the next part of the show. When Gertrude from Truck Stop getting her statue. y'all so extra. Memphis is Chicago's little brother. Chris Cunningham says it's crazy how black jurors found black cops not guilty, but were accused of white cops for being racist. Hashtag black privilege. Yeah, maybe they got black privilege. Were you at Black Lives Matter? Said Cisco to one. Kojo says, AD, when you say black American women, do you mean just living in the U.S. born here or from a family that's been here for generations? I mean, like a black woman that's been born here. That's my thing, bro. It's just my thing. Like, and again, I don't discriminate. Who knows? I mean, maybe one day past the age of 43 that I am now, I'll have an affinity or some level of attraction. And it doesn't mean that other women aren't attractive. I just got a preference. Like, I just prefer, I think that they're better looking, prettier, skin is smoother. I don't know. I got a thing for American black women. Like, I'm not into African women. I'm not into, you know what I'm saying? None of that type of stuff. So I don't want none of that. And it's not to say that I'm ever going to seek any of it. That's just speaking hypothetically, but I just got a preference for women that's born here in the United States of America that just so happen to be black. It's just my thing. I don't know. Jerome Gray says this is why 2K said what he said about the other police. Black family will never get justice. They did get justice. They got a trial amongst a jury of their peers, and they were found not guilty. And so it's not based off of what you think. People going off on me? What people saying negative about me? Because I said that I prefer black women that are born here in the United States of America. So what's wrong with it? Okay, so wait a minute. It's okay for everybody else to have their preferences, but it's not okay for me to have a. So wait a minute. Y'all mad at me because I prefer a black woman that is born in the United States of America? Dude, okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Because I'm just curious about this, right? And maybe it's proximity, maybe that's just what I was raised around or whatever, right? Are y'all telling me that it is problematic? Because again, I don't stop anybody else from having their preferences. Are y'all telling me that y'all mad that I actually prefer an American-born black woman? Really? They think I hate black women, Molly? What is going on out here? What's wrong with y'all? Wow. What do you mean? What do I like about them? What kind of question is that? What do you like about a white woman? That's crazy to me. I didn't know that y'all were critical of it. I don't have to answer the question. I'm married to a black woman. What you talking about? I've been married for 21 years. When did I have to start justifying the reasons why I prefer black women? Because they look good to me and they smell good. And I like the way that they shaped naturally without the BBL. 100%. And it's the thing that I've been raised around. It's the thing that I've always liked. It's the thing that I've always desired. It's the thing that I've always been around and been with. And black women love me. Black women absolutely love me. And they've always preferred me. I've never had a problem with black women or being around black women or them saying anything negative to me in real life. They've always shown me love, appreciation. They've always taken care of me. All of the black women that's around me that work for me, they all look out for me and take care of me. And they smell good. They taste good. They feel good. They know what they're doing in all aspects of life. What else do I have? What else do I need to do? What else do I need? Yes, they taste good. They taste good. You ain't never tasted a black woman? Boy, you missing out. Yeah. Yo, this is the Millionaire Morning Show. This is not after hours. We're not doing this today. We're not doing this today. And if they don't mutilate their bodies and be getting all of these stupid BBLs and stuff like that, they was honestly, listen, let me tell you something. I'm going to be real with you. Most of the women that y'all see in a lot of these other places, they got BBLs. Them women in them other countries, all of them women be getting BBLs, bro. They be getting BBLs. If you look at the women from like the 90s and the 80s and the 70s, the Pam Grier eras and stuff like that, when black women never got all of that stuff, they were naturally curvy. The thing that other women were chasing was the thing that they were already shaped like. They already had all of the natural stuff. The thing that they did wrong is they started trying to chase everybody else instead of being exactly who they was. They were naturally gorgeous, beautiful, and other women worshiped their shapes. They worshiped what they look like. So if you're going to sit here and tell me that, and again, I'm not knocking nobody else. I think that everybody else should do what they want to do when they want to do it. If they just rock out and just take care of themselves naturally and be whatever it is that they are, they cool. I'm cool with it. I ain't tripping off of none of that. So y'all crazy. Y'all crazy. But again, that's my preference. I think that y'all should do what y'all do. And I'm going to keep doing what I do. I love them. I think that they could do better. I'm going to keep holding them accountable. I'm going to keep kicking ass because I think that I'm an equal accountability smoke giver, and I want them to do better. I want them to stop getting pregnant and having children by men that don't necessarily care anything about them. I want them to stop making excuses. I want them to stop going to college and getting a bunch of student loan debt for stuff that they shouldn't be in, and I'm going to keep holding them accountable. But at the same time, don't mean that I don't love them. Boy, don't mean that I don't love them. Maybe I just grew up in a different era. I grew up in Detroit. It was the blackest city in the United States of America per capita. So anyways, let's continue on with the show. I'm just different. I just come from a different era. I got a different type of mentality, and that's just my preference. So I want to get into this other story really quickly because it's a woman that was killed in California that was a Clark Atlanta University grad. Have y'all heard anything about this story? And then we're going to get into the Trump situation afterwards. All right. Jody says, I love them, but I ain't waiting on them. What y'all got to wait on? They right there. It's a bunch of them. It's a bunch of them that's available. It's a woman that was killed in California, and she was a Clark Atlanta grad. She was a PhD and everything. Have y'all heard about this story? This was a story that keep on coming up on my timeline, and I said that I wanted to review this with you guys to see what you guys know about it. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Hearts are heavy tonight at Clark Atlanta University. One of their graduates who had gone on to become a college dean of a college in California was shot to death on the campus of Spartan College in Inglewood, California.
Dr. Kamisha Clark received 3 degrees, including her doctorate from Clark Atlanta University. That's where Fox 5's Angelique Proctor joins us now with the story all new at 5. Angelique?
Good afternoon to you both. So many people who knew and loved Dr. Kamisha Clark are just devastated tonight. They say clearly she was a rising star who is just gone too soon. The Clark Atlanta University School of Education just spotlighted Dr. Kamisha Clark on her accomplished career in March. This is their Instagram post about the 3-time alumnus who earned her undergraduate, master's, and educational doctorate degree from CAU and was recently promoted to the Dean of Student Affairs at Spartan College of Aeronautics and Technology in Inglewood, California.
She was promoted to the Dean of Students of, let me see this again.
Aeronautics and Technology, recently promoted to the Dean of Student Affairs at Spartan College of Aeronautics and Technology in Inglewood, California. On Friday, everything changed in an instant when police say former Spartan security guard Jesse Fiegro returned to the college in a security clothes and opened fire on Dr. Clark and her assistant in what police call a targeted execution-style shooting.
I came under the lot. We were told that there was an active shooter next door and to get into safety in the shop over here.
Officers say the suspect drove off, but they found him several hours later and took him into custody.
Give great kudos to the Inglewood Police Department, our investigators, and the LAPD officers that were vigilant, took the vehicle description and took him into custody.
After 3 days of fighting, Dr. Clark succumbed to her injuries Monday. The second victim is still being treated. Those who knew her described Dr. Clark as a shining star who was driven but also had a sweet spirit. Friends also say Dr. Clark was a strong advocate against gun violence and had started a foundation here in Atlanta to fight the use of firearms called C-Squared.
This was not a random act of violence. The suspect and victims knew each other.
And again, the way they knew each other is that they all worked there at the college. I should also mention that Dr. Clark was a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and she was the granddaughter of Dr. Betty Clark, who was on the faculty for many years here at Clark Atlanta, as well as retired interim provost and vice president of academic affairs.
I bet you this reporter right here is an AKA. I guarantee you this reporter is an AKA. Because what I know about AKAs, and I am familiar with AKAs a little bit. I ain't going to tell you how. Shout out to my AKA women that's watching this right now. What I know about AKAs is whenever they see any of their fallen ones, what do y'all call them? Y'all call them something of pearls. I don't know what, I forgot what y'all call it, but y'all like to wear y'all pearls. The pearls for the whole girls or whatever like that. And then y'all wear y'all pink and green for like whatever, the home going or something like that. So it's messed up. It's very, very messed up to see that a woman that was so promising, whose career was so promising, who obviously never had a problem. And I can't sit here and say that there was something wrong with her or she criticized somebody or she was doing something that she wasn't supposed to do or something like that. It's very messed up that this happened to her, and that, you know, the guy, I hate when people just do stuff. I genuinely hate when people do stuff because they're angry at somebody else or they have a disagreement. And so we see somebody that's in his emotions, and that was a former security guard and she was a dean of students. And then he comes in and he does a targeted attack and then he goes and takes out her life. I need to know more information about this because I'm sure that eventually he's going to confess to it, or he's going to say something, or he's going to better explain it. And I'm going to actually earmark this so that I can keep an eye on this story in particular. But to see that a dude came back and he wasn't even working there anymore, put on a security guard outfit, and then did a targeted attack on a woman.
Of Spartan College, Kamisha Clark has died after being shot by a security guard there. This all happened on Friday afternoon. She, in fact, was one of 2 women who were shot on that campus. NBC4's Camilla Rambaldi joins us live from Inglewood right now, where she spoke to Clark's family today. Camilla?
Hi, Colleen. The family telling us they're absolutely devastated following this tragedy on Friday. And now 40-year-old
Y'all think that she rejected him?
Figueroa is facing several charges here, including murder and attempted murder. He was expected to be in court today for his arraignment, but that date has been pushed back to later this month. And also in court, the family of Dr. Kamisha Clark, the dean of Spartan College, who the family says she passed away yesterday afternoon.
Family and friends of Dr. Kamisha Clark outside the Inglewood courthouse today, remembering her life and impact as the dean of Spartan College of Aeronautics and Technology.
We are beyond devastated. Kamisha's life was taken from us far too soon in an act of senseless violence that no woman should ever endure. She was an amazing person who didn't deserve this. She was living her best life, doing the work she loved.
Her family says she was a daughter, sister, friend, and mentor, describing her as compassionate and loving. Clark was one of 2 women shot on the Spartan College campus Friday afternoon. According to Mayor James Butts, the second woman, who was identified by a colleague as an admission assistant, was an unintended target in Friday's shooting. Her name has not been released. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office has filed charges against 40-year-old Jesse Figueroa in connection to the shooting. He is facing several felonies, including 1 count of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and 1 count of possession of a firearm with prior violent convictions. News Chopper 4 was overhead when the alleged shooter was arrested in front of Berendo Middle School in the Pico Union District. The DA's office says that Figueroa allegedly used a handgun. According to a statement released over the weekend, Spartan College says it's cooperating with the Inglewood Police Department and that counseling services are being arranged for students and staff. Friday's tragedy, taking a life gone too soon.
She was a trailblazer and an inspiration, having recently been promoted to the dean at Spartan College of Aeronautics and Technology in Inglewood.
Dang, she was kind of pretty too. Some people in the chat is telling me that he got rejected. Is that true? Did he get rejected? Somebody in the chat told me that he got rejected. Y'all give me some insight on whether or not he actually got rejected or not. I need to know that. What do y'all know about it? Y'all don't know what happened? Well, I know that it's unfortunate that this woman had to lose her life. I don't think that anybody, and again, I'm going to say the same thing that I say on a regular basis. I think that people need to keep their hands to themselves. When I see the only time that, and I'm not going to say that I can justify it, but the only time that I think that it makes sense to witness when things happen negatively like this is if you win the game. And when I say when you win the game, not a gang with a G, but in the game. And usually if you win a dope game or something like that, then at some point somebody has to be made an example of, or you can't have somebody running off on a plug. And so usually people do things that they're not supposed to do in order to justify being able to maintain their presence in the game. But outside of that, I can't see any reason why somebody would put their hands on somebody else, let alone go and do some kind of revenge killing. And it just makes it's messed up because you got somebody that was bright and obviously added value into society. Now they have been removed and you have to replace them with taking care of somebody, spending $50,000 and $60,000 a year on this inmate facility, or making sure that we feed him with 3 hots and a cot. And he's probably going to be able to get out of jail in 10 to 20 years when he says that I've been changed and I'm a different guy and now I deserve parole and all of this stuff. I just don't get it, bro. I just don't get it. It's very bothersome and it's unfortunate, and this shouldn't be happening to people. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notification. We're going to go over to Trump with this UK trade deal. I wanted to make sure that I got everything announced and everything out so that we can actually review the deal itself. Eric Williams says, what's good, Anton? They had a mistrial and a police shooting in the Grand Rapids this morning. I'll check that out for tomorrow. Ryan Powell says, let AD have his preference. It's not hurting y'all. Oh, I ain't worried about them. I'm going to still rock out with whatever it is that I want. Jay Denoir 89 says, Blackity Blacks will stand down on this because it's them deleting each other. As long as whites not deleting blacks, blacks are forever doomed. Let AD have his preference. Emil says, enjoy some lunch on me in Springfield. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Maybe I'll see you when I go to the gym. Big blessings to you, man. Shout out to my dog. Duran Lee says, Lot Lizard Becky statue is coming soon. Long Way ENT says, can I get a Millionaire Morning Show coffee cup? Y'all want me to get some coffee cups? I don't even know if I can order them. I'll look into that. Matthias says, AD, does black women taste better than pumpkin pie in my Bernie Mac voice? I don't really eat pumpkin pie. I'll say this. They just taste good. I'll just say that. 392Q says, apparently Anton regarding the Ohio case with Rodney Hinton, his son dropped the gun and tried to go back and grab it in front of the cop. All right. We learning more. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Trump, a couple days ago, he said that he was going to be announcing a big deal, a huge deal about, he just said that it was going to be a really, really big announcement that was going to be made very, very soon. And so I want to take you over to that and see if I can get y'all the footage, the original footage. But let me just give y'all a general sentiment of what is going on and what happened, and then let me present that to y'all, and then we're going to go over from there. So this is the general idea, the framework, and then I'm going to present to y'all exactly what was announced in the trade deal so far.
This morning, President Trump announcing a trade deal with the United States and the UK. That's one of your top DC daily headlines for May the 8th. This morning, President Trump confirming on social media the United States and the UK will announce a major trade deal he describes as, quote, full and comprehensive. It is the first trade deal since the president's tariffs rolled out last month. No details yet, but the president's announcement coming this morning at 9 a.m. Houston time.
All right, so that was what was originally announced. He put that out to the media. And then let me actually take you over here. So let me switch this over real quick. Just don't like that premium messing up. So let me see if I can get y'all over to it.
Economy to the closeness of our relationship. It is built, as you say, on those.
Have a surplus, but of course. Guys, go ahead, and then we'll take questions right after that. But I think you'll get a pretty good understanding of how big it is. It's a very large deal, very big deal. And Howard, go ahead.
So the UK is the 6th largest economy in the world and the 4th largest that we export to, right? So it's a huge market, a top 10 market. If you remember Liberation Day, they were at 10% because we have balanced trade with the UK, right? They say they have a surplus, but of course that counts gold bullion, which is, so let's just call it balanced trade. So how do you open up a market in balanced trade? People think it's impossible. They've always thought it was impossible until President Trump came on the scene and changed the way things work. So here's what we've got. We've opened up new market access, ethanol, beef, machinery, all the agricultural products. They've agreed to open their markets, and that will add $5 billion of opportunity to American exporters. So the question is, why would they do that now? Because they've never done it before. And we still have our 10% tariff on, which will produce $6 billion of revenue for the United States.
So you see, people wonder, they say, well, wait a minute. How was Trump able to get a deal to where he still has a 10% tariff on the UK while at the same time opening up new markets for the United States of America for them to be able to do more business inside of the UK? Well, it's kind of like, I hate to say it like this. It's kind of like what's happening to Shannon Sharpe, right? The woman said, listen, we want $50 million. And then they're alleging that Shannon Sharpe offered $10 million in order to make it go away. And then potentially Shannon Sharpe was going to negotiate that as a part of a bigger deal as far as that $100 million deal that he had on the table. But obviously the deal fell through. So basically, Trump tariffed the UK 27.5% once he started to calculate what they thought the trade deficit was between us and the United Kingdom. So I don't know if y'all remember on April 2nd when Trump presented the whole thing and it said, hey, listen, this is what the trade deficit is with this country. This is what the trade deficit is with this country. This is what the trade deficit is with this country. But the trade deficit wasn't just based off of whether or not we were able to sell goods or how much was being exported versus imported. The trade deficit was also across the board with how we do business with other countries. So with China specifically, we know that they steal our technology. We know that they flood the United States of America with Fenty. We also know that they require for the United States of America or any company from the United States of America to go in and partner with a Chinese company at 51.49%, which allows for them to be able to steal their IP or their proprietary technology, which then empowers them to then sell us cheaper products back while eliminating jobs here in the United States of America. So there's different countries that have different tactics that then require you to do business differently inside of their country. So when they said, okay, well, we're going to put this much % tariff on the UK, which Trump upped it. Initially, it was 10% for everybody, and then he upped it to 25.5% or 25.2% tariff based off of their calculations with his people. Since day one, since before he took office, he had been acquiring information to better understand exactly how these companies or how these countries were taking advantage of the United States of America. He upped the tariff to 27.5%. Well, a part of the deal that Trump's team was able to secure is that we're still able to tariff them, which generates revenue in the United States of America, 10% to even the playing field, while opening up new opportunities for our farmers, for our manufacturers, for our people to then be able to sell, which they were initially blocked from selling inside of the UK, so that they can better their businesses. Now our country is taking in more revenue, while at the same time being able to export more products over to the UK. Now, why would Trump do the UK first? Because the UK was one of the most difficult people to negotiate with, considering that they had a considerable amount of power in other sectors. All right, I'm trying to break this down from a C student's perspective, because I know that they're going to give you all the long form of it, but I'm going to give you all the short form, and I'm going to give you all the insight. When the UAW strikes against Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors, and then they use that negotiating deal to try to entice other plants in the South, Mercedes-Benz, Nissan, Honda, and so on and so forth. They use the initial deal. They pick the strongest, most robust, profitable trading partner, and they target them first. When they target them, they use that deal as a framework for how they're going to negotiate with other countries in order to allow for them to be able to open up and then resell cars to the United States of America and open up their manufacturing plants. So they say, we're going to strike them all first. Trump did the exact same thing that unions do to the automakers. He did the exact same thing to all of the other countries that do business inside of the United States of America, because we have all the leverage. So then he selected a specific group of people, and then he said that this is going to be the framework for how we then approach other countries, because we can take it to them and say, hey, wait a minute, they stronger than y'all, and y'all not going to get a better deal than them. So they use the UK's deal, and this is why Trump felt like it was the best to take your time and make sure that he negotiated a trade deal, which was going to be historic. Now, all of the other waterfall trade deals that come in after that is going to be a reflection of how we did business and whether or not we struck a good deal with the United Kingdom, which was awesome. Now, the best part about this is that you don't hear anything, a peep. You will not hear Rachel Maddow. You're not going to hear Al Sharpton, because first of all, these people are imbeciles. So they can't even talk about anything on air without their producers writing out a script and then running it across the stream so that they can then be able to speak to it and talk about it, or they got to bring some expert onto the panel so that they can better help y'all to understand exactly what Trump is doing. You're not going to hear them talk about anything with regard to these trade deals. They're going to keep on going to Bernie Sanders. They're going to keep on going to Jasmine Crockett. They're going to keep going to AOC. They're going to keep on talking about, oh my God, I can't believe these immigrants, they're getting arrested over in Palestine. They're arresting them on Columbia's campus because they're protesting in favor of Israel for Khalid Muhammad. They're going to continue to talk about that stuff because they cannot speak to it. These people are not experts. They are just dummies sitting in a chair. They are personalities. They are influencers. They cannot break it down to you from a C student's perspective. They can't explain themselves out of a wet paper bag. All they do is get a paycheck, and then they just tell you whatever it is that the producers are telling them to say, and they're not even their own personalities. They can't communicate effectively. They can't communicate effectively. You're never going to see this happen on MSNBC. You're never going to see D.L. Hughley be able to talk about trade. All he can talk about is blackity, blackity, black on black on black. You're never going to see any of these people be able to communicate effectively because they don't understand politics in combination with business. Trump is executing at an expert level. He is absolutely teaching you a masterclass in real time of the art of the deal. It's the exact same blueprint that the UAW and the Teamsters and every other union is using against major companies, and we're taking that blueprint and we're using it to build a framework for how we negotiate with other countries in the trade deals, and the UK was the best person or the best country or the best people to do it. They've been trying to negotiate this deal for over 25 years. Since Bush was in office, they said that we needed a more fair deal when it comes to negotiating an equitable trade with the UK and the rest of the world. The UK specifically. We've just been able to get it since Trump came into office in his second term. Crazy, right? But nobody is going to give Trump credit. Nobody is going to say, oh, it makes sense. We still get to put a 10% tariff on them while at the same time opening up new markets for us to do business with them. So now we can become an exporter instead of just a consumer nation. Now we can become more of an export nation. And guess what? All of the possibilities that open up from weaker countries. China is shivering in their boots. China is sitting there with a bunch of products at their ports that they can't even ship out of the United States of America, because what's also included in these trade deals, and there's going to be more to come, I'm going to break it down from y'all as it continues to go on. What's also included in these trade deals is what? We have to make sure that our partners that we do deals with, which include the United Kingdom, we have to make sure that they're not able to be used by China and other countries that don't necessarily care about the United States of America in order to continue to do business here or to do business with them. In order to do, we partners now. Two of the most powerful countries on the face of the earth are partners now. Now, you can't do nothing with them without them running it by us, because they risk messing up their deal with us and they don't want to mess up their bag. Because they don't make no money off of China. They make money off the United States of America. Even at a 10% tariff, they still make money with the United States of America. So the UK is not going to risk their partnership with the United States of America and doing business with us, even at a 10% tariff, even at opening up their markets to us. They're not going to risk a deal with them and let China use them against us. And so now you got to go through us in order to get anything done. Crazy. But of course, we got all of these liberals that don't do anything. I stand with China. I stand with this. I stand with that. Because they are emotional. They're emotional. One of the things that I pray for myself is, Anton, have patience to see it through and trust the process. Trust the process. Trust the process. Somebody yesterday, they said in my comments, and I commented back and I said, oh my God, I can't believe that you guys talk so harshly. And I laughed at it. And they responded in the comments back and they said, what is Trump? Trump can't stand up to Mark Carney. Mark Carney is a PhD in whatever, finance or something like that, right? And I was thinking to myself, but Trump is the billionaire. I know a lot of content creators that have their PhD in finance and they ain't got nearly the net worth that I have, nor can they talk about money the way that I talk about money. They not better content creators. They not better at money. They went to school more than I can, but they can't generate as much revenue as I can. It doesn't matter what your degree is. If you can't negotiate the deal effectively and you can't get things done that's in the best interest of your company or your country. And so this is pretty much the framework of what's going on over in the UK.
So the idea was, how do they keep their jobs, protect their economy, and do the best for their people while opening the market for us? And the way is they studied it. Their team was exceptional, and they tried to figure out the markets that they're importing from other people and try to send them over to America. So why were they always favoring others and not us? And what they've done is they've found the ways to do that so that we have new access, right? But the UK workers are protected, and that was the balance. So we did a deal with them in automobiles, and you know, if you're not building here, we charge you a 25% tariff. But the president, and by the way, I want to make this clear, while Jameson and I worked hard, this was the president's deal. And people think, oh, that's not the way it works. If you got to sit next to him, I have the best deal maker to my left. And if you don't think that we take advantage of him calling the prime minister and getting that deal done, you don't understand who's the president of the United States. So he's the closer. He gets deals done that we could never get done, because he understands business, he understands deals, and that's why we're here today. So he agreed they could send 100,000 cars.
He's actually executing on one of the 48 laws of power, which is never outshine the master. Never outshine the master. If you look at any company, and this is why I try to teach y'all inside of the Bag Chasers why you need to be a cultural fit. Whenever you go into I'm not going to talk about that because that's a video that I got coming up that I'm recording for you guys for the updated Interview Like a King video. But being a cultural fit is very, very much important. I see people all the time say stuff like, I'm smarter than my boss, or I'm smarter than this, or I can do this and I can do that. And then I would ask him, I say, so how come he's your boss and you're not his boss? He understands the power dynamics. He understands hierarchy. The CEO of a company, the president of the United States of America, is never going to know as much as the people that are in the details. If I'm the president of a company, I'm not going to know exactly every single thing that happens when it comes to the finances. I'm not going to know every single thing that happens when it comes to a security or a technology perspective. I'm not supposed to be an expert. That is what your job is. He hires the right people to put the things in place, and then he leverages his ability to make a deal and his ability to be able to get the phone calls and the networking and the relationships to push the deals through. It's his job to make the connection and make sure that he pushes the deal through, or give it that little bit of oomph in order to really make sure that that deal is done. Otherwise, you never get to the table in the first place. Never outshine the master. Never try to outshine the master. And he's planned. Trump has got the right team around him. They're going to continue to exalt him. They're going to give him all of the credit. They're going to make sure that they do the dirty work, and then they make sure he looks good. Every single last one of these people see this. You see how Trump is sitting down and everybody else is standing up? Pay attention, y'all. Pay attention to every single thing that goes on. Everything that goes on. Never outshine the master.
Into America and only pay a 10% tariff. And that protects the car industry. And remember, we do 16 million cars a year. So this is only like 0.6%. But for the UK auto people, this is tens of thousands of jobs that the president agreed that he would protect for them. So he made that deal, right? Then steel and aluminum, right? Their steel business has been destroyed like everybody else has been destroyed by people dumping steel into their markets. And British Steel had announced it was closing down. So the British government, as part of this deal, nationalized British Steel, and they're going to match the kinds of models we do. They'll put tariffs on, they'll put quotas on. They want to do it with America so they can be part of the resurgence of steel and aluminum in America. And that saves them, again, thousands and thousands of jobs. So if you go step by step, aero and commercial planes, they sell Rolls-Royce engines to Boeing. We've agreed to let Rolls-Royce engines and those kind of plane parts to come over tariff-free. And what you're going to hear today is there's going to be an announcement in the UK that they are buying $10 billion worth of Boeing planes later today. But I'm going to let the name of the airline announce it because that's theirs to do it. Part of this deal was always to do it together and to do it strong. And you can see the numbers on this board. Everything about this board works exceptionally well for the United States of America. It lays out the plan that you can work with us in autos. You can work with us with aero and commercial. You can work with us in pharmaceuticals if you have a supply chain that is secure and protected in national security. So we feel really good about the deal. You've heard the Prime Minister. He feels really good about the deal, right? And we started at 10% and we ended at 10%. And the market for America is better. And this is a perfect example of why Donald Trump produced Liberation Day. People don't understand. He gets things done in a matter of time. This would have taken Jameson and I 3 years, maybe. And instead, we got it done in 45 days, certainly, because we work for Donald Trump.
Never outshine the master while at the same time exalting yourself and showing your value and your worth. Man, this is a masterclass. Yo, honestly, I believe that Trump's presidency is going to be studied for years to come after he's out of the office. I think that his presidency is going to be studied for years to come out after he's outside of the office. Real talk. I do. It's crazy the level of insight and information that comes along with this and the amount of lessons that come along. Like, I'll give you another one. What people don't know about the UK is that they're a very heavy, union-heavy, influenced industry. And the fact that they had a lot of other competitors dumping cheap steel over there, our partnership with them and them also being a consumer nation, not as big as the United States of America, is you got to remember that we also have one of the biggest markets for their luxury cars. You talk about BMW, you talk about Rolls-Royce, you talk about Mercedes-Benz, you talk about all of these different car manufacturers that need the United States of America in order to survive, while at the same time, we are open to them supplying the planes or supplying the engines to the planes that we ultimately manufacture. I'll show you something else. A lot of people don't even know. I'll pay attention to different details. And it's funny because it kind of reminds me of like a limitless pill, because you see things in your life or you see different pictures or you see different symbolism, but it doesn't come back to you until it's actually relevant. But there's been certain pictures or things that I would see and I was thinking to myself, man, and then I would just move on with my life and it wasn't a big deal. I remember seeing Trump with a picture. It was a picture of Trump or it was him next to his plane or something like that. And it said Rolls-Royce on it. And it reminded me to do some research in a Rolls-Royce. And I did do some research in a Rolls-Royce because Rolls-Royce wasn't just a manufacturer of cars. They were a manufacturer of plane engines. And so to see that symbolism of Trump standing next to a Rolls-Royce sign on a plane, let me see if I can find that picture. Yep, this was the it was on his plane. His plane that he has a Rolls-Royce symbol on it, and I'm gonna show it to you guys really quickly. And I always remembered it. I never forgot about it. I always remembered it, that his actual plane had the symbol of the Rolls-Royce logo, because that's what the actual engines, the engines for his Trump plane was made with. And when I seen it, it always resonated in my mind. It always resonated in my mind. And so when I seen that, and then when I just seen actually him announce that and then say, well, they're going to be supplying the engines that ultimately, and then buying the planes and all of that stuff, it always resonated with me. It always resonated with me. So anyways, neither here nor there. These are the type of things that I think about all the time, and that makes sense for me. So make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Hopefully you guys are learning something. Hopefully you understand the importance of why we became conservative, why we vote for Republicans, why we ultimately look at America as a business, because America is a business. America is a business. It's a business first. For whatever reason, y'all think that America exists to provide you with something. No. America exists to open up the opportunity for you to provide for yourself. That is the biggest difference between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats think that the rich people and people that pay their tax dollars exist to serve them. That's not true. Our government is supposed to be smaller, nimble. It's supposed to be easy to work with, and it's supposed to create the opportunity for you to serve yourself. That is the difference. The biggest difference between Republicans and Democrats is not the rich, it's not the poor, it's a matter of choice and freedom. It's choice and freedom. It's censorship and not being censored. Democrats believe that the government exists to make sure that we continue to tax people so that we can take advantage of it and give social services and give people all of this leg up and forgive student loans and all of this stuff. Republicans believe that we need to allow for people to have the freedom to keep more of their money for themselves and to determine their own path and have the freedom to do what they want to do when they want to do and not be censored. That is the biggest difference between Democrats and Republicans. Has nothing to do with liberal, has nothing to do with conservative, has nothing to do with social services, has nothing to do with any of this stuff. Yes, I have seen Limitless. It's one of my favorite movies. If anybody asks you, what is the difference between a Republican and a Democrat? That is it. Democrats exist to make sure that they take from the government and make it bigger because they want the government to control what happens, and they then leverage the government in order to censor other people. Republicans believe in less, smaller government, less bureaucracy, giving people the freedom to do what they want to do, no censorship, and giving you the opportunity to make yourself a millionaire. It shouldn't be on the government's job to give you a handout. That is the biggest difference between Republicans and Democrats. All right. Yes. Socialism versus capitalism. Socialism versus capitalism. That is the biggest difference. Has nothing to do with black, has nothing to do with white, has nothing to do with the 92%, has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. None of that. That is the biggest difference in a nutshell. And that's the part that they don't teach us in school. That's the thing that they don't teach us when we're younger. That's the thing that they don't teach us in church. That's the thing that they don't teach us in the black community. I don't need the government to give me anything. I just want the government to get the fuck out of my way so I can do what I want to do and run a bag up. I could take care of myself. I can make adjustments in the marketplace. I can make sure that I go and get educated. I can make sure that I create my own business. I want to work as many hours as I want to work. I don't need nobody slowing me down from doing what I want to do and taking all my money and giving it to people that don't even deserve it. That's the biggest thing. That's why I'm a Republican. Nothing to do with black, nothing to do with white, nothing to do with all of that extra stuff. I don't care about what other people do with their lives. I care about whether or not they're putting their stuff on me, because I don't want to subject myself to which. If you want to go and bump coochies, if you want to go and rub Harry's, that's on you. But don't put it in our schools. Don't force women. Don't put it in women's sports. Don't come in the bathrooms. Do what you want to do, but do it in your house, but don't start putting it on everybody else. That's A. And B, stop taking all of my money and stop trying to prevent me from doing what I want to do and let people say what they want to say. That's 2. That's it. It's very much that simple. Don't care about all of this other stuff. They want to keep making it about race. They want to start doing all of this stuff. That's not what it's about. People have completely missed the plot. And that's how it's so easy to market to you. Hey, you need to become Democrat. Then next thing you know, you advocating for deleting babies, and that ain't even what you believe. You've been raised in a church and you ain't never believed in abortion, but all of a sudden you standing for it. All of a sudden you stand for immigrants coming over into this country illegally. What you talking about? That wasn't something that we was divided about Democrats and Republicans. Democrats and Republicans believed in making sure that we kept our borders safe. That wasn't something that we was divided. Next thing you know, you're on the wrong side of the fence with that. Next thing you know, you advocating for sassy people to be in women's sports and bathrooms. Like, bro, that ain't even you. Ain't got nothing to do with being a Republican or a Democrat. But they made it a part of the Democrat agenda because they had nothing else to stand on. And there was no other way that they can market to a completely new demographic that made sure that they was entirely tying themselves to a party the same way that black people did. That's how they got gay people to tie themselves to a party. That's how they got liberals to tie themselves to a party. That's how they got people that didn't even stand for what you believed in to tie themselves to a party. And now you are part of what they stand for instead of standing on the things that's actually best for you, your family, and this country. That's the truth. That's why you on the side of unrighteousness. That's why you believe in deleting babies. That's why you out here with a single baby daddy and talking junk and you a step crash dummy. That's why I keep telling y'all, get off the plantation. Get off the plantation. Kelly Reed, look, this dude is a CIA collaborator plan. That's what they say when they can't substantiate your argument. It's what people say when they can't come up with any other thing. Oh man, he must be a plan. He must be this. He must be that. Listen, let me tell you, what a plant tell you to suck they, let me be quiet. Let me stop. I prayed this morning, so I'm not going to go there. They want us to give away the country to people that don't even deserve it. Birthright citizen. What are you talking about, birthright citizenship? Birthright citizenship wasn't even for you. It wasn't for immigrants. It was for people that was brought over here against their will. We don't even need birthright. We can abolish birthright citizenship because there are no more people that's being brought over here against their will. That was for slaves. That was for descendants of slaves. That was not for people that immigrated over here and had a child over here on their own, again, doing it voluntarily. That wasn't for you. Birthright citizenship was never supposed to be for illegal immigrants coming over here and having children. You might as well get rid of it now. We don't need it anymore. Birthright citizenship should have went the same way as affirmative action. Y'all standing for it. Keep on protesting for Khalil Muhammad. Khalil Muhammad, you don't know him. He don't even like you. His country and what he stands for don't even support your lifestyle. So stupid. Anyways, let me read some of these super. You know me, I'll start going off and getting derailed. Facts. You get a 12-foot statue. Earl Andrews says, you in my hometown, make sure you try Red Rose next, because Red Rose, what's Red Rose? Let me write that down. Write that down in my notes. What is Red Rose? Rose. Shout out to Earl. Mark Evans says, chocolate drops, caramel sweet. Brown skin delights, mocha cocoa. Makes me say, oh, wait. No, I'm late. Hashtag I prefer my black women. Simple black man. Shout out to Mark Evans. I appreciate you. Marriage, Politics, and Sports says, the market recognizes his deal with the UK. I know, and that's why stocks is booming right now. He's using the art of war on China in their book while executing his book, The Art of the Deal. Shout out to Brothers Keeper. Chris Cunningham says China is scared because, one, their country is struggling, and two, India is winning. J-Dub says, I know it's frowned on to say this, but this country needed Trump to steer this ship. He will not get the love he deserves. He will. Maybe he's getting it right now. Messi says, bro, been in office 100 days and has done 5 years worth of work. He deserves a nap. That work ethic is insane. Wesley Turner says, Trump is basically conquering on our behalf and folks hate him for it. Facts. Average Gamer says, Trump making it happen. Trump making it happen. Marcella O says, can you please include how to become a vendor for a corporation for the updated interview like a king? Yeah, I can do it. Give me a second. Here, I'm going to just screenshot this. What are some key things to look for? I got you. All right, bet. Aaron L says, finished my capstone this week. Shout out to Aaron L. I presented to the CEO when he started, and when he started talking, I made him feel like it was his idea. Never outshine the master. Never. Jay Denoir 89 says, dumb Trump haters think Trump is trying to get richer. No, Trump is trying to get his face carved in that rock next to George A., Teddy, and Thomas. Long Way ENT says, Anton, have you seen all of the movies? Limitless Pill? What did you see? All of the movies. I thought it was only one movie. I know it was a series that came out. Finance with the Chance. Mortgage in a Minute says, welcome to New England. I'm in Hartford. People should just comply. Shout out to my people over there in Hartford, Connecticut. Chris Cunningham says, then you get a 12-foot statue. Mr. Joe says, Democrats equal victims. Republicans equal victors. Courtney Yeager Show says, my guy, what up, fam? What up, Courtney? What up, Court? What up, big dog? Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. All right, so Tyre Nichols, black woman statue, woman killed in California, Trump trade deal. We can go over to the Columbia protesters, or I want to go over to this Piers Morgan conversation, y'all. I want to go over this Piers Morgan conversation because, you know, this is something that's going viral. And I think her name was Lily Jillian or something like that. What's this chick's name? Lily Jillian or something? I don't know. But anyways, I'll keep you guys updated with the whole tariff situation and everything like that. But Piers Morgan. So Piers Morgan has been having these conversations about race a lot lately. He's recently interviewed Kanye West, and so Kanye walked off. He had Sneeko on. I seen Neon live streaming with Ye. I don't know, whatever, so on and so forth. And so I want to actually go over to this because I think that this is an uncomfortable conversation that people don't really want to have. But whatever makes you uncomfortable is the very thing that I want to start having a conversation about. So this is what happened on Piers Morgan, which also included Mark Lamont Hill and Myron Gaines. Shout out to Myron Gaines. So this is the conversation that was had over there on Piers Morgan's Uncensored show.
Smooth, not the app.
It's been systematic racism. As much as Black people and people of color want to talk about systematic racism in the United States, it's quite the opposite. They get preferential treatment when it comes to getting a job, when it comes to getting into colleges. White people, on the other hand, have been getting attacked relentlessly. Look at 2016 and BLM and all the riots. We just had to sit back and watch people burn down our cities and do nothing about it. So the way to fight back against essentially this anti-white hatred that's been systemically, ingrained in U.S. society is with white unity. We don't see white unity on
Hang on. Okay, but hang on. Sorry, just to be clear.
So before Piers gets in and changes the dynamic of the conversation, Do you guys agree or do you disagree that the narratives and the tables have now been changed? And it's been that way for a long time, probably the last 20 years or so, to where everything is systematically against white people. I've said for a long time, and people have disagreed with me, and that's fine if you disagree, but I've said for a long time that the most targeted person in society today is the straight, heterosexual white man. Y'all agree? The most targeted person, the most hated person, until y'all get tired of black men and getting that BBC, then you wanted the best. The most hated person in the United States of America today is the heterosexual white man. Yes, really. Yes, really. Lovely says this isn't our fight to care. Well, why isn't it our fight to care? Because everything that we do, we make it about race. What they were discussing in this particular clip and what she was referencing is the woman that called the child the N-word. And what I said on the Monday night show, and I also said it on Tuesday's night show, maybe we'll have a conversation on After Hours tonight, is I said that white people were getting tired. They were silently talking amongst themselves, and they were getting tired about always acquiescing over to black people, especially the black women, when they always claim racism for everything. And it doesn't mean that they're right on some of the things that they say, right? It doesn't mean that they're right on everything that they do. But what I am noticing is that there is now a revolt against black people that are claiming racism for everything, when you now have white people saying, you know what? We so tired of y'all trying to be victims. We so tired of y'all claiming racism with everything. We so tired of y'all being openly racist against us. We are now going to be back openly racist against you guys. And listen. I think it was what's my man's name? The actor. Morgan Freeman. I think it was Morgan Freeman that said it when he said, if you want to stop racism, then you need to stop talking about it. And as much as people didn't want to accept it, as much as people rejected it, as much as people completely missed what he was trying to communicate, I personally believe that he was right. If you want to eliminate racism, then you have to stop making everything about race. And of course, the blackity blacks came in and they said, no, we're going to continue to talk about it until we get equal. Well, what happens when you back a dog into a corner and you continue to beat on him when he was running away from you? What happens when you back a dog into a corner? Eventually, he gonna start growling, he gonna bite back, and people are not gonna like it. And what's gonna happen is it's just gonna make things exponentially worse, and then they're gonna blame white people for this whole race war, when everything that black people do, whenever it's a white people involved, then y'all always make it about race. Every single time. If you keep making everything about race, what do you think that people are going to ultimately do when they get tired of you making it about race? Is at some point they're going to be like, all right, what else do you want? And then you go say, I want more. I want equal. I want you to shut up. I want you to acknowledge it. I want white people to go to black businesses. I want white people to bow down. I want white people to protest. And they said, okay, black girl, you got this. Okay, black girl, we got this. Okay, black women, we gonna protest against Trump. Okay, black women this. Okay, black women that. What do you think that they're going to eventually do? How do you think that that's gonna play out? What you think that they people too. You think that they just gonna roll over and be like, you know what? Y'all can have the country. We're gonna leave the country and leave it up to you. If every single thing, most of which is not even about race, becomes about race, if you can be openly racist and say some of the most egregious things about people that didn't even enslave you, and they have to keep taking accountability for the things that their ancestors did, what exactly do you think is going to happen eventually? eventually you'll get Lily here. And Lily went viral before, I think a couple years ago or over a year ago. Lily went viral for saying the N-word openly because she was one of them trad wives and went viral, and then she said the N-word. And now she finds herself on Piers Morgan, and guess what? She not scared no more. White people are not afraid to get canceled because they not tripping off of y'all no more. They don't care anymore. They gonna tell you exactly what they feel. They not gonna just have a conversation in the living room, and you can get mad if you want to, but eventually they gonna say what they really believe, and this is how it's gonna play out. And then they gonna say this: do something about it. Do something about it. That woman that called that kid the N-word, she had raised over $700,000. I heard that it had got up to over $1 million. Some people said, "Oh well, they canceled it." What you think that they're gonna find other ways to be able to get that money over to her? But you think that all of them people is cool? They don't care nothing about that money. They don't care nothing about that money. Eventually, they're going to say, you know what? All right, cool. You racist, I'm racist, we racist. Let's do it. And this is what she had to say about it.
This has got nothing to do with anything you just said. This is a disgusting racist woman who repeatedly spews the N-word, first at a young child, and then at the person taking the video of her, does it with complete impunity, does it numerous times. We are talking about a bona fide, unquestionable racist. And so I don't understand why what you've just said to me bears any relation to white unity or anything that you've just said. She's just a racist. End, isn't she? You wouldn't dispute that.
It's not about her. It's not about her. It's about
Well, it is about her
coming together and supporting another white person. And it doesn't matter.
Why would you want to support a white racist?
Because I want to support free speech, and you cannot have free speech in the country.
No, that's fine. You can support free speech, but you also have to be accountable for what you say. She is. I mean, would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
You would.
Mm-hmm. I do, quite frankly.
He thought he had caught her up. He thought that she was going to be like, no, listen, I see where you're trying to go with this, Piers, and I'm not going to hit it. She said, yep. Mm-hmm. And I do it all the time. Now what? What you going to do? Now do something. I'm on your platform telling you that I don't care nothing about what you're talking about, and I'm standing on it. Now what? And she said, and I do it. Let me replay it for you because I don't have to explain it to you. She said it out of her own mouth.
But you also have to be accountable for what you say. She is, I mean, would you use the N-word out of interest?
Yes.
You would?
Mm-hmm. I do, quite frankly.
You use the N-word quite frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're a despicable racist. Are you?
Some would say I am. I guess according to the ADL, I'm a white supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, well, if you use the N-word repeatedly, you are a racist, then, are you? Are you?
Sure, I'll embrace that. If that means forwarding, helping white people achieve freedom of speech, real freedom of speech, which, by the way, Shiloh Hendricks is being attacked on all fronts. They're trying to bring legal charges against her. They're trying to get her children taken away. So you were saying Carmelo Anthony, it doesn't matter. That's a different.
Sorry, but just to be
thing.
clear, you just said to me you use the N-word regularly. In what context? Right. Do you use it with black people?
Yes, if it's appropriate.
When would it be appropriate to use the N-word? When would it be appropriate?
Anytime I feel like it.
Oh, and what you gonna do about it? And what? Now what? Now what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What y'all gonna protest again? Let me guess, what you gonna do? You gonna cancel her. I told y'all that this was gonna happen. I told y'all how it was gonna play out. I told y'all how this thing was going to, how it was gonna shake out. Y'all keep thinking that you gonna do something. You ain't gonna do nothing. You gonna be on the keyboard. You gonna type hard. You gonna get mad. You gonna share it with your friends. You gonna rewatch it. And then you're going to sit right there in your side of your living room and you're going to go to sleep like a baby. You're going to go to work the next morning. Because you got to get up and go to work next morning. You ain't going to do nothing. You ain't going to do nothing. Nothing. And I respect her because she stood on it. I don't trip off of people that say what they are. That just gives me more insight on how it is that I need to deal with you. Do I think that she a good person? No, I don't think that she's a good person. I think that she's a horrible person. But I respect the fact that she said what she said and she didn't lie and she didn't back down from it. She was absolutely transparent. Okay, cool. Now I know exactly how it is that I need to deal with it. But I respect that more than people that lie to my face and try to act like they cool with me and they're not really cool with me and they talking about me behind my back. We don't have to be friends. I know exactly what it is that this is. I'm cool with that. And I don't believe in censorship because I don't want to be censored myself. So I don't believe in censoring and canceling other people. Cancel culture is dead. Cancel culture is dead. I know where you stand now. Cool. I'd rather deal with a person like that to know exactly where I stand with them than to deal with a person that's smiling in front of my face and gonna stab me in front of my back, slap me behind my back, and they may look like me. Stand on that. She stood on it.
So you're an unashamed racist.
Correct.
Well, do you understand that makes you a despicable human being?
I guess so. I don't really care. I mean, why are we not talking about Shiloh Hendricks?
Why
are we talking about?
Well, actually, I think you've moved it on in this debate very quickly to your own racism, which explains why you've supported her in public and why you've got all these views. You see no problem with a woman shrieking the N-word repeatedly because you yourself are a despicable racist. And you've just proudly admitted that with a smug grin on your face, which is pretty horrifying, actually, for most people to have to watch. And shame on you. You're entitled to do it, and I'm entitled to call you despicable.
So,
well, shame on white people for allowing themselves to be systematically discriminated against in the United States. This is our country. This is a country that should be.
What do you mean your country?
Because I'm white and my
Well, there are no black people in American history. Is that what you're saying? That they've all just landed in America, invading your white country? Is that your position?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm.
How do you argue with somebody that's not like? Have you ever tried to argue with a YN? Like, man, you ain't about to convince them or something. What you gonna do? Man, you're despicable. They're gonna be like, that's nice. So what else you got for me, big dog? Either you got something or you gonna get out of my neighborhood or what? She don't care nothing about what y'all think. She is standing on business with her super blue eyes and her long hair. And I will tell you another thing. You want to know something else? Y'all want to know something else? Y'all not gonna like this part. Y'all not gonna like this part. You want to know something else? There is no shortage of black men that will absolutely bust her down and wipe her up. Did I just say that part out loud? Did I just say that part out loud? There is no shortage of black men that will absolutely, positively bust her down, wipe her up, and would have her have their baby. And they still prefer her over you. So miss me with your fake outrage. Miss me with your fake outrage. I don't care nothing about what you saying because it is 100% true. And I stand on it. I stamp it. I rubber stamp it. I put my brand on it. That there is no shortage of black kings that will 100% still choose her. Choose her European. Let me get her on the big screen. Give me a second. Let me show you what she looked like. Hold on. You think they ain't taking them eyes? And that fair skin? You think they ain't taking them eyes in that fair skin? Listen, you ain't got a lot of me, nigga. I know what you about. Listen, the Lord gave me discernment, and I know the spirit of a man, especially a black man. Look, don't try to be politically correct with me now. Y'all was just getting on me because I said that I have a preference, not that I'm stopping anybody else from liking or rocking out with who they want to rock out with. I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care if you bumping coochies or if you rubbing Harry's. I don't care. Y'all was just mad at me because Anton said that he actually prefers, from a sexual, from an emotional, from a marriage perspective, black women. And y'all got mad at me. And y'all literally held me accountable inside of the chat and said, well, Anton, tell me why you like them. What? And I got to justify to you why I like a black woman? Y'all just got done trying to hold me accountable for saying that I like a black woman. Even though I've been married to one for the last 2 decades. And now you want to sit here and act like, oh, no, it's cool. It's cool. You see how we did that? You see how we did that 360, that reverse 360 that we just did for y'all? Nah, I want the same energy. I remember some of y'all names. Don't go through and try to erase what you said in the chat before. Don't try to erase what you said in the chat before. I want the same energy. Oh, now you love black women. Y'all kill me, man. Y'all a mess, bro. Y'all a mess. Y'all a mess. Stop. See, I knew that when we eventually got to this part of the show that we would see a little bit of backtracking. And let me be clear for the 30th time in this particular live stream. I support you going where you're celebrated, not when you tolerate it. I support people doing whatever it is that they want to do and marrying whoever it is, as long as you are not breaking the law and doing things that is not right when it comes to the greater good of society. But miss me with your fake outrage. You're all fake. All fake. Fake outrage. And guess what? Nobody is going to do nothing to her, including Mark Lamont Hill. Let me go ahead and read some of these super chats, and then we're going to move over to the next part of the show. We got a lot to talk about on After Hours tonight. Are y'all not subscribed to the channel? Have y'all not hit a like for the algorithm? Are y'all not subscribed to the Patreon? Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Supreme by Nature TV says, have you seen a movie called The Genius Club? If you haven't, please check it out. I would love to get your perspective. Also, check out an episode of The Twilight Zone called The Obsolete Man. The Big O Show. What up, Big O? What up, though? Amen. Says, preach, AD. Charles Halbert says, I believe the white liberals / Democrats are trying very hard to incite a race war for their benefit, and black people are going to be the collateral damage. These white people are highly trained. High Tolerance says, I can respect her stance. Cut to the chase so I can move accordingly. People need keying 1 minute and throw you under the bus the next. Fausto Colin says, hey, Anton, took your advice, did some research. I will be getting a Bachelor of Science in Cloud Engineering or Cloud Computing. Shout out to you. I like that. AWS Focus over at WGU. I remember you said to specialize. Thank you for your advice. I like that, Fausto. Congratulations. You're going to be getting a huge bag. Chris Cunningham says, I mean, can you be mad at her for being honest? I respect her honesty. Me personally, I don't give a F. If a white person uses the N-word, frankly, I hear it all the time amongst themselves. Spanish people say it heavily, but we give them a pass. Chris Cunningham says, and they aren't black and they despise us. So me personally, it doesn't affect me. I don't get bent out of shape over it. This is that black privilege ish I'll be talking about. JC says Black Lives Matter has no one to blame but themselves for this. Casual Germ says she reminds me of the Riley Reid music video. Don't play it at work. If you know, you know. Chris Cunningham says, what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander. Calling a 5-year-old an N-word is wild, don't get me wrong, but guess what black people do all the time? High Tolerance says she is invited to the cookout. Moses King says, 80. Snow bunnies never, black women forever. In my Umar voice, no, Moses King, let's get these snow bunnies. Kane Sports says you can't blame black people for her racist behavior, while at the same time you say blacks can blame whites for theirs. Two wrongs equal wrong. Only AC says, what up, though? Abe the Hunter says, yes, they will wipe her up after saying that, too. Big O Show says, black people don't care in general about each other until it's race. I watched a young black woman at a Foot Locker kill 2 black men. Yep, right in East Point. And she shot 4 people. 2 of them died. It's past the N-word. It's bad for black and white in America. Check the email AD. I got you. I'll check it. BC says, I don't care if she uses the N-word, but I believe using it would be considered fighting words and is an exception to free speech. She has to accept the consequences if she says it to people. Jay Denoir says blacks make up 13% of the U.S. population. White make up 60%. The blackity blacks ain't gonna do ish, but keep complaining. Whites is tired of ninjas and their fuckery. NGL, I'm tired of ninjas too. New Age Trucking Hefe says, I'm willing to bet thousands that white girl never said the N-word to a black person's face. Why she got to say it to your face? What you think? She gonna go up to you and prove it to you? Huge difference from behind a computer like a coward. She wouldn't say none of that in front of us. And nobody cares. Listen, for whatever reason, y'all think that somebody cares about what you think. They don't have to go and prove it to you. They just proved it to you on Piers Morgan. It's more effective on Piers Morgan than it is to you in front of your face. I'm just going to be honest with you. The Greyway said she was like, yes, I said it. Come on, Cletus. Courtney Smith says she really not being a racist. She just being an asshole right there. Best racists can convince you that they are your friend. That's true. That's true. That's 100% true. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Quinn says I'm gonna be late. Nah, I doubt that. We know Quinn ain't never late. Tony Adams says, what is the protocol to be a panelist on an after-hour show? Honestly, there is no real protocol. I just kind of have the same people up there on a regular basis. I don't know. I just go with whoever it is that I've been dealing with for a long time. Molly in the chat says, a lot of white women call black men the N-word with the hard R. They know black men will always desire them regardless. And they don't care. They're still going to go after that snow bunny. They still going to go after that snow bunny. All right, so let me see. I got one more thing that I want to talk about. Let me see. I got Columbia protesters. We can go with the dad is left in shock with the Disney. The cost of Disney. Let me see what else we got here. Did Tyre Nichols? Y'all still upset about that woman saying that inside of the on Piers Morgan, ain't y'all? I might have had to say that. Should have saved that for last. Talk about the money. What do you want to know about money? What do you want to know about money since you want me to talk about money? What do you want to know about money? How much did he have to pay for Disney? Yeah, that's a big story. How much Disney actually it cost me to go to Disney World? You didn't know that that was a big story? What do you want to know about money? Tell me what you want to know about money. How to spend it, how to lose it, how to make it. What do y'all want to know about it? AD, how did you learn about stocks? I read books inside of the library. during my first work study job. Right out of high school, I got a work study job at the University of Detroit Mercy campus library. I would put up books, and then I would hurry up and read every single thing that I could make. I mean, that I could get my hands on. And then I started using Investopedia. I started playing around with it. How to invest. Gotta read. My portfolio is up today. Been doing stocks since high school. Best way to grow it is exponentially tax-free. Why do we care what she say on TV? ADU said the best day to join a Calypso says ADU said the best day to join the Patreon is the beginning of the month. Yes. However, I just don't want you to join it at the end of the month. So the best time to join the Patreon is as early as possible now. When it gets towards like the 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, that's when I say just wait till next month. All right. All right, let's go into this. The Pope is from Chicago. Well, I know the Pope is a thug then, huh? All right, let's get into this, y'all. Because this is a big story, and I haven't seen it for myself. And so I figure out in this show on a positive note. We don't want to end the show on a negative note. We want to end the show on a positive note. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into this. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get into it.
A Florida father is going viral after showing just how costly a day trip to Disney World has become.
Before we even got into the park, it cost me $30 just for parking. And even being a Florida resident, tickets for a family of 5 with one child under 10 was still $974.
$1,000 to go to Disney World for a family of 5. Hey, y'all still having? Are y'all still having 3 kids? Are y'all still having 3 kids? Somebody says stay out of Disney.
Florida resident, tickets for a family of 5 with one child under 10 was still $974. The rest of the family decided they wanted to go to dinner at downtown Disney Springs. This place was my literal hell, totaling $245.27. The grand total for our day was $1,391.91.
That father, Craig Stoll, and his daughter Kendall joined.
Oh, look at this feminine guy. Why would he put that on his head? See, somebody was saying this the other day, and I absolutely disagreed with him. Oh, it was on my panel on After Hours. And they said, Anton, you wouldn't let your daughter paint your nails? No, I would not let my daughters paint my nails. No, I would not let my daughter paint my nails. The same way. I don't think wearing earmuffs is bad. I think that wearing earmuffs from Minnie Mouse is bad. Wearing a thing on your head from Minnie Mouse, that's a bit much. That's a lot to deal with right there.
Us this morning. Good morning to both of you.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having us.
Good morning. Well, thanks for coming on. I like the Mickey. I mean the mini ears, Dad. All right, so you.
Thanks. I couldn't get Kendall to wear them, so I chose to go for it.
They're very cute. All right, you posted this video. You have more than 8 million people who have watched it. Are you surprised? And why did you decide to do this?
I kind of had a feeling it would go viral. It's very relatable. It's family friendly.
Same thing,
Disney's
Carrie.
always a hot topic, and we're all trying to pinch pennies. So that video was probably my therapy as I was going through the day. The kids were smiling, sometimes fighting in between the lines. My wife was having a grand old time. Meanwhile, mine was just swipe the card over and over and over. And it started with the ticket purchase, and then it ran right into the parking, and then it just was like a cash cow for the rest of the day. So I kind of had an idea that people would be able to relate to it, just maybe not so much.
Yeah, Kendall, your daddy had to work so hard. I know he's a small business owner to send your whole family to Disney. Was it worth it?
Yeah, I would say it's worth it, but it was so packed just to be there for one day for all that money we spent.
Yeah, and Dad, you tried to get the lightning passes so that you could get maybe to the front of the line for, what'd you say, 3 rides? But those were too expensive, so y'all opted out of doing that. So you had to wait in the long lines too.
Trying to put a price tag versus value. What's it worth? The lines were so long, so we're already 1,000 deep into the park. Now we're going to drop another 400 to get lightning passes. So,
and you're only going to get on 3 rides. That's what a lot of people don't understand. I've been to Disney, I think 3 times, maybe 3 or 4 times. And I went to different parks. So you can go to different parks. I never went to the one in California. Maybe I'll go to the one in California next. I went like 4 or 5 times now. I'm thinking about it because I went to Disney in Japan. I sure did. I went to Disney in Japan. The Disney in Japan is way different, is way cheaper, and it's just a different experience over there. The Disney in Japan, they kind of got their Quentin going on. You know, they wear shirts. They like Winnie the Pooh. They like Winnie the Pooh. Disney in Japan is not necessarily chasing the Avengers. They're not necessarily tripping off of Star Wars. They're more in the Mickey Mouse, Winnie the Pooh, and like the really super, super, super friendly characters. It was a better experience. The lines wasn't long. It was nicer. The food was better. Disney in Japan, you can tell that the park has been there for a long time, but it's very much you're not catching strays, Quentin. The park has been there for a long time. You know what I'm saying? And so it was a great experience. The one here is just super packed. And it don't matter how much that they charge. It don't matter how much that they got you a separate line for the super VIP parkers and then a different line for if you just want to park regular. And then they got a different line. If you want to get the lightning pass for 3 rides, then you got to pay an extra $400 for everybody. And it's just, you know, Disney for me, and I tried to take my daughter when she was smaller and as she got bigger. Disney for me is just like happy to be at the park, happy to spending time with your people. I don't really care about the rides. All of the food is pretty much the same. They just rebrand it differently depending on if you go through this ride or if you go to Space Invaders or whatever it is, or the Men in Black ride, or you go over to what does they call it? The Star Wars part and all of that. And so, you know, you do a couple rides or whatever, but it's just not that important. So, but I will tell you that it costs a lot of money. It is very, very expensive. And him paying $1,400 for one day, because there are people that go almost every week or 2 or 3 times a week. I've seen couples online that go to Disney. Their whole relationship is based off of how much they go to Disney and they've met at Disney. And so they just love Disney. There's some people that absolutely love Disney. Cedar Point says no mascots and fun. Yeah, Cedar Point is dope. Us in Detroit, we used to go to Cedar Point all the time over there in Sandusky, Ohio. What it is, it's very expensive. It's very, very, very expensive. And that's how I knew Disney was losing a lot of money during COVID, because they couldn't actually keep the parks open and it was going to take a long time for them to get back to normal. Isn't it funny how if I see a person with a mask out in public now, either I know that there is somebody that's trying not to be seen, like, you know, somebody that's, you know, trying to be a little bit more low key, or is just a person like a mask now is something different than what it used to be. I remember when the NBA first opened back up, if you were sitting in row 1, you had to wear a mask. Row 2, you didn't have to wear a mask. Row 1, you had to wear a mask. Man, we're going to look back at 2021 through 2025 or 2024, and we're going to be like, this was probably the dumbest time in history, bro. This is probably the dumbest time in history. We're going to look back in 2021 through 2024, and we're going to say, what the hell was we doing as a nation? What were we thinking? How did this ever make sense? It was so dumb, bro.
Oh, I don't want to say it this way, but if you do the average of cost per ride, it probably isn't really worth it. So we almost wanted to do the lightning passes, but multiply it times 5, that day would have been double the price.
Yeah, I know. And when we do all
So
these
lightning
stories
pass
of people
is
who can't
$400
afford
a
their
person?
groceries and or gasoline, or at least that was under the last administration. It's gotten a little bit better, but when you hear those kinds of stories, it's sad that most families can't afford to do Disney.
Right. And that was a last minute decision. We're Florida residents. We decided with some family in town that they.
You know, y'all don't have to do Disney World, right? Like they market that to y'all because it make it seem like that's something that y'all have to do. You don't have to do Disney. There are so many other different types of trips that you guys can take that are more economically feasible. You're going to have way better time. You ain't going to have to fight no crowds, and you're not going to be sick when you get home, and your legs is not going to be hurting because you're not used to walking that much. There are much, much more fun and better things to do, better parks, better environments, better places to go, better experiences. Y'all going to have to start being creative. You do not, man, I know people, I have seen people save their PTO and they have a Disney budget because they had to, because see, that's just them because they Florida residents. You got to remember, when you go to Disney, you're going to have to pay for plane tickets for 4 people, 5 people. You also going to have to get hotel rooms for everybody. You're going to have to feed everybody that you're there. You're going to have to get a rental car. Then you're going to have to go into the park. And then, bro, your Disney trip going to cost between $5,000 and $10,000. The only reason it only cost them $1,400 for a family of 5 is because they did the very basics to get in. They walked a lot. They didn't get lightning passes, and it was already Florida residences. When you go to Disney, it's going to cost you between $5,000 and $10,000, depending on how big your family is. And that's to assume that your wife or your girl ain't going shopping on top of it, that she ain't feeling extra frisky, that y'all gonna want to eat 2-3 times a day. You're gonna get a sugar rush, you're gonna get cotton candy. It's gonna be stuff that y'all gonna want to do afterwards. They got like this little off Disney, not a park like the regular park, but they got like this nighttime thing where they do like fireworks and stuff at night. And it's going to cost a lot of money. And then they're going to want some t-shirts and some shorts and some Mickey ears and all of that stuff. And then they got these little light up bracelets that you can get that's inside of there that makes you just do the wand. That's what Leslie wanted. Dad, can we get the little light up bracelets? And we're like, and it costs extra money inside of the Disney shops, and they don't do nothing no different than everything else. And it's so stupid. It's honestly dumb. Like back in my day, we used to go to Boblo. We used to get on the Boblo boat, go to Boblo Island, and have a good time. We used to dance on a little party. I think I met one of my first little girlfriends on the Boblo boat. Y'all know nothing about the Boblo boat. I think I met one of my first girlfriends on the Boblo boat. She's this girl. She had these barrettes in her hair. I was real young. She had these barrettes in her hair. They had this little arcade in there. I said, I like you. She said, I like you too. I said, oh. I looked like a little turtle back then. I had no facial hair, no beard, no nothing. Just a little baby man. Yeah, go to the county fair. The problem with the county fair is that all of the YNs is there. Yeah, the YNs be there making things difficult at the county fair. It was a Detroit thing. It was a Detroit thing. Y'all know nothing about the Boblo boat. They killed SeaWorld when they started complaining about the whales. We shouldn't have whales in captivity. Next thing you know, SeaWorld ain't popping no more. SeaWorld ain't popping no more. None of that stuff. And the one thing about going to the county fair is that you got to play the basketball game. They got the rims that smushed in. You don't spend about $50 to take home a $5 Super Bear. Bear gonna be this big. Anyway, you know what? I'm gonna go to Cedar Point this year. I ain't been to Cedar Point in a long time. Anyways, make sure I hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. I wanted to end that on a more positive note because y'all was feeling a little bit spicy today because of the stuff that was being communicated and said. Is my elbows ashy? I need to go ahead and get some lotion on my elbows. Anyways, let me read some of these super chats and then I'm gonna get y'all up out of there for the day. I'll let her call me the N-word and I'm not even black. Jesus Christ. See, Manuel AG, see y'all. Just Christian says you missed the best part of Piers Morgan video is when Piers dared the lady to say the N-word live and Mark Lamont Hills lost his mind. Did she say it? I don't want to play that. Greg Charlie says I spent $1,800 to take my son to Disney Universal while he was still under 3 and he got in free. He don't even remember it. It's a waste of money when you take them when they're under 3. Retro Gaming says, put some bass in your voice, sir. Marka J says, I bet the mom be pulling his hair when she got the strap. Yeah. Can you do a Patreon video on how you learn the intricacies of politics and business? I want to have as deep as an understanding one day, AD. Politics and business. Just Christian says people in Hong Kong got it right. They don't even go inside the Disney there, and the big Mickey Mouse is right outside of the gate. They take a picture by it and then get back in the train and call it a day. Jay Ben says one wheelchair equal white and lightning pass. That is a hood act. That is true. That is true. Kung Fu Hustler says Buddy wasn't even having a good time. He was watching hours of his life burn away. Things that men do when they sacrifice for their kids. All right, y'all. Time Dog got to go ahead and get it popping. I got to get busy and I got to take care of business. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. I think that y'all are the greatest audience on the face of the earth. I love y'all. Thank y'all for always rocking out with me. Man, I got multiple live streams today. We're going to figure it out, though. Make sure y'all tune in to After Hours tonight. I love y'all. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.